welcome to Glanbia's Dairy Focus. My name is Joris Somers and I'm the Veterinary Advisor with Glanbia Ireland. In this week's episode, we will talk about best practice guidelines on silage making. We will hear some messages from our milk quality team, and we will discuss the use of pain relief during routine calf husbandry procedures. But first up is Emer Kennedy, who will give us some valuable information on why it's important for Youngstock to reach certain growth targets and how you can achieve those targets during the grazing season.
So if you consider that a replacement heifer costs about €1,545 to rear, that's from birth until calving, it's quite a large amount of money. So it's really important that you get the heifers to their target weights in order to maximise their production potential when they reach the lactating herd. When we're talking about target weights, what we're saying is that the heifers would need to be 30% of their mature body weight at 6 months of age, 60% of their mature body weight at mating or 15 months of age, and 90% of their mature body weight at calving. For example, a Holstein Friesian cow with a mature body weight of 580 kilos, that means the heifer has to be 175 kilos at 6 months of age, 330 kilos at mating, and then 550 kilos at calving down. Now, if you don't reach those targets, there are consequences. So underweight heifers at mating start date, they may not even be cycling, so this is going to delay the calving date, and again that will have consequences for later lactations. Also, from a lot of work that we have done across 50 different herds throughout the country, we have found that by the end of the third lactation, those heifers that were underweight at mating start date, almost 50% of those had left the farm by the end of the third lactation. So you're not capitalising on the higher milk yields that you'll achieve with your mature dairy cows in the herd. Further to that, you're also looking at reduced milk solids yield, not only in the first lactation, but also in lactations 2 and 3, and those heifers tend to be underweight throughout their lactating life. All of these things, if you put them together, it's looking at reduced profitability on the farm. So you have the high cost of rearing your heifer, and you're going to incur that cost anyway, and also you're going to look at reduced profitability if you don't get her to the target weight. So it just emphasises the point that you really need to get those heifers to target weight. So then when it comes to weaning the calf, it's much better to wean the calf based on weight. And from our experiments in Moorepark, what we found is that the ideal target is about 18% of their mature body weight. So for example, 100 kilos for a Holstein Friesian calf. And this is important because, as we've seen in experiments that we've done, there's no difference in the weight gain post-weaning in calves that are weaned at a lighter weight or a heavier weight. So when it comes to, say, 6 months of age, the differences that are there in weight between the calves are due to the way that they were fed their milk in the pre-weaning period rather than differences in the post-weaning period. Once the calf is weaned, then it should be fed concentrate, and that depends, grass and concentrate diet, and that depends again on the weight of the calf and the supply of grass on the farm. Ideally, the calves should be in covers of less than 1,400 kilos of dry matter per hectare. You don't want calves in paddocks where they stay there for months on end and the grass gets really high and stemmy. It's not of good enough quality for them to put on weight. Going into their second winter, you can always put in concentrate, but you should stop that at least 6 weeks before they're due to calf. And if you get all those things right, I'm pretty confident that your heifers should be on target at the different key points during the rearing.
Thank you, Emer. Now, let's go to our own milk quality team for a few timely messages from them.
So especially in current times, it's very important to have a contingency plan in place. We say especially if someone in the household or on the farm gets sick and can't perform the day-to-day duties. And I suppose one of the most important ones and complex ones is the actual milking and setting up the plants and all that's involved in that. So I suppose you have all the plants and they're all different. They all have different control systems, and equipment can be in different rooms and things like that. So if a neighbour came in or a relief milker came in, and they might never milk in a machine like this, and it might be all new to them. So it's very practical to have on a farm is a standard operating procedures guideline. So it's just quick instructions on how to set up the plant, set up the machine. And what's very good about this one is not only does it have the instructions numbered 1 to whatever, it also has pictures matching each instruction, so you can clearly see what has to be done as well as the the written instructions. It also has the room it's in, so it's dairy, plant room, or in the pit, which makes following instructions very easy. So it's also very useful to have around the parlour is, we'll say, guidelines like your tank instructions to make sure the tank is always turned on. The worst thing you can do is have milk in the tank and the tank not to be cooling. Also to have your washing instructions, so you know what washes to be done after every milking and the correct dosage is required for each wash. Something that's also should be made available to anyone that's coming in milking is crucial mobile numbers for, say, a technician of the machine or tank or anyone that's involved in the day-to-day running of the farm. A lot of these can actually be found on one of the first pages of the Glanbia Milk calendar. What you see now in a lot of farms as well is whiteboards that will be at the top of the dairy. This is very important for marking such things as cows that have been treated with antibiotics and their milk needs to be discarded, either through dumping or manually done in the pit. This should always be up to date, and what also should be very clear beside this is how the cows are marked, whether it's red for antibiotic or orange for a cow that has a blind quarter. Teagasc also on their website has a number of these standard operating procedure guidelines, and they're available to be downloaded. I'd encourage you all to do so and then alter it so it's specific to your farm and your plant, so that anyone can easily come in and work your machine and milk cows.
Now let's discuss the use of pain relief for some routine calf husbandry procedures. And when we talk about routine calf husbandry procedures, we're really talking about disbudding and castration of bull calves. Now, ideally, bull calves are castrated within the first week of life because then you can use rubber rings around the neck of the scrotum. It's the least hassle, it's the easiest method of doing it, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. If the calves have gone past that 7-day time limit, the next option is squeezing the calves or using a Bordizo. Now in this case, you have to be a bit more careful, and ideally calves are given a local anaesthetic when you do this procedure as well. Try and get the calves castrated before they're 2 months old. It can be done until they're 6 months old. After that, a vet has to carry out the procedure. Whether it is squeezing or surgery, a vet has to do it. But try and give the calves the local anaesthetic before you put the clamps on, and then give them some pain relief as well. The value of the pain relief is really that the calves don't experience stress from the procedure and from the enduring pain. That way, they won't stop eating and they won't experience a growth check. Calves under pressure are also more prone in getting diseases such as pneumonia. So the additional cost of the local anaesthetic and the pain relief is nothing compared to the benefit in continued growth and less chance of catching a disease. Here's Paddy Dempsey with some handy advice on making silage.
Hi, my name is Patrick Dempsey, Senior Business Manager at Glanbia. In this clip, I want to talk to you about making great quality silage. Under our Great Grass programme, we've developed a 3-stage process which, if followed, ensures farmers will consistently make top quality silage. This is a very simple 3-stage programme which summarised in 3 banners is your pre-cutting stage, your cutting stage and your pitting and baling stage. Today in this clip I want to take you through the pre-cutting stage. This is broken into 3 simple stages. Number 1 is calculating your silage requirements for the coming winter. Number 2 is evaluating the weed challenge in the pasture that you're going to ensoil. And number 3 is monitoring and evaluating the growth stage of your grass so as that you have grass ready to cut and you're organised when grass reaches the right stage. Teagasc have a very simple table for calculating silage requirements. For adult animals greater than 2-year-old, you require 1.6 tonnes of silage per month. For animals less than a year old, you require 0.7 tonnes of silage per month for the winter period. And finally, for animals 1 to 2-year-old, you require 1.3 tonnes of silage per month over the winter period. It's important to do an accurate calculation on this and allow yourself a 20% buffer for years when the winter doesn't fall into the ideal 3-4 month winter that we might like, and you need to house animals for a short period longer. Next, looking at the weed challenge in the pasture. You can see here we have a pasture that was sprayed with Governor last year, and it is still relatively clean. The predominant weeds in Irish grassland is docks, followed by chickweed in silage fields. These are relatively easy to control with an effective weed control program. And I would advise everybody, after walking your pasture, to talk to your Glanbia rep about putting an effective control program in place for the weeds on your farm. Finally, and most important in this stage, is monitoring the grass growth stage. All grass in Ireland will generally head out between the 15th of May and the 5th of June. So, if we know this is when the grass is going to head out, we now have a 3-week window in which to make good quality silage. And the key aim of this program is to make grass silage that is greater than 70 DMD. If you normally harvest your silage on the 1st of June, well, now you need to know you have a 10-day window in which to plan this cutting. Because if you delay silage cutting by 1 week, you will reduce the DMD of that silage, the dry matter digestibility of that silage, by 5 units. And that will reduce the milk production potential of that silage by 1.5 litres of milk, or in the beef system, it'll add €70 to the cost of finishing an animal on the grass silage diet.
Now, if you want any further information on any of these topics, please contact your local Glanbia representative or log on to glanbiaconnect.com.